So, welcome back to another episode of Baxter's Buzz. I am your host, Baxter E. Hall. I have a special guest with me today. Um, Cheronda White is a real estate agent with Real Estate One here in the Detroit and Michigan market. Also, a business development manager for the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, and also a really good friend of mine. So, I would like to say welcome, and I'm glad that you were able to spend some time with me today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. So, I know we scheduled time just to kind of chat. Um, if you wouldn't mind, tell me about the real estate piece of what you have going on, and kind of what led you there.
Yeah. So, about I guess 7 years ago, I purchased my first home and was bit, you could say, by the real estate bug. It just really sat well with me that this was something that I wanted to do. And like hundreds of thousands of others watch HGTV and with all of the real estate people making millions of dollars, that is not necessarily the truth. It's a very small percentage of people. But it wasn't necessarily even about the money that kind of, sat so well with me as it was really helping people to achieve their goals, and as much as I hate to say that I'm in sales, because I really don't like the word sales, it has a certain connotation to it, but I do enjoy the clothes. I enjoy
Yeah.
it.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
I
Uh,
do enjoy the clothes, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I talked about recently was sort of not being afraid to initiate um, sort of any sort of interaction, right?
Hmm.
When you understand your benefit
Hmm.
and what you're going to get out of it, it may be more important to you than someone else, or at the time, right? And sales is about creating a sense of urgency, but just some of the examples that I gave was not just in a sales role, but like in a mentor mentee role. If I'm
Right,
Yeah, if I'm
right.
going out to pursue my mentor, connect with my mentor, and they're incredibly busy because they probably have other folks that want their time.
Hmm.
If I have to reschedule that, or if they need to reschedule with me and I need to follow back up because they didn't get back with, like, it's more important to me, right? So I need to make sure, like, how do you feel about having to be that initiator, and like just the fear of like feeling rejected, and like that
Hmm.
whole thing, like the way the ego plays in it? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there are, and so let me just backtrack just a little bit. I'm going to answer that question with this, with what I'm about to say. So, how do I feel about, starting the conversation, being the aggressor, if you will? Another huge part of why I decided to really pull the trigger on becoming a realtor, and finding out my why, right, was that in the African American community, I find that we don't think that home ownership is really attainable for us. So it's more than just the sale, it's more than just, the clothes and all of that, but it's the education piece, specifically with first time home buyers. I mean, right now I'm dealing with a client. This is not their first home, but this is their first time with a mortgage. They previously purchased their home outright in cash, so they're going through this process for the first time.
Wow.
Um, I have another client who is, a little older, a little more seasoned, who has never purchased a home, going through the process for the first time. So my desire truly is to help educate to the best. I have a whole lot more to learn, clearly, but is to educate people, specifically African Americans, on the attainment of real estate, the attainment of property, thus being the attainment of wealth, because indeed that is how most wealth is procured, is through real estate. And like I said, a lot of us just don't feel like it's for us. A lot of us don't feel like it's attainable, like our finances won't ever allow for that to happen. And that is just not true. There have been so many structures and systems that were put in place to get us to this mindset that it's not attainable for us. It's not for
Right.
us. And that's just not, it's just not true, you know? So that's a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. That was honestly, as I started to really, really get involved, it was just like, there's a real discrepancy here, a disparaging fact between what we know to be true, you know, what's happening in our country and who holds wealth, who attains wealth, and our story, right? And so, again, you know, when I reach out to people, it's, or the messaging, if you will, that I send specifically during in social media, is it is attainable. You know, it's for you. It truly is. And just working with people to get them to see that it's for them. And it's really funny. The response that I've gotten has been kind of like, what? You know, I can get a house with a 640 credit. Yes, you can. You know, yeah, you absolutely can. There are programs that are in place to help you do that. So that's a big part, you know, of it. And as far as the fear factor is concerned, you know, there's always, you know, you even have, you know, people with, you know, that are superstars that say, you know, I get jitters, you know, when I first go on. And then when you hit the stage, you just do what you do, you know. And I think that's a big part of finding and doing what you like to do, you know, and doing what's within your comfort zone, is doing what's natural for you, you know, and really knowing who you are. That all of that, you know, kind of comes into place, and really not running from your calling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Actually, post, my recent post about that, part of it was inspired by a conversation that you and I had,
mhm.
right? Because it's something that I have to remind myself of, is like, you know, don't be afraid to take that extra step, right? And like, sometimes it's fear, sometimes, most time it's fear, right? Some sort of
Right, right.
insecurity. The ego will tell you that, the ego say, Cheronda, you done called those people 3 times. Don't call them again,
Don't call
right?
them again. Right.
But it's really an insecurity. Like, I don't want to upset anyone, right? And I don't want to offend anyone. But when you understand your calling, it empowers you to be a little bit more assertive, because you know why you're doing it, right?
Right, right.
There's, in a perfect world, and it took me a long time to kind of land in a role that, yes, it's a sales role, but it's a, you know, but it was truly like a service oriented role,
Mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
Where I felt like, yes, there's other people in this field, but I think I'm able to provide something a little differently, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
did you feel like you were bringing, you know, your experiences and everything, like, to the table? Did you feel like you had something different to
Yeah.
to bring?
Yeah, for sure. Specifically, you know, we'll talk about the chamber in a moment, but specifically with real estate, because I was that person. You know, the way that I talk to my clients is the same way that my broker who sold me my house talked to me. You know, the broker that I'm under, her name is Pat Phillips. She has a doctorate in real estate, you know,
Oh, wow.
African American woman, and she is the only African American broker in um, real estate, one with her own firm. So it's, I think, not to bring race or anything into it, but it's pretty much an all Black firm, 99.9% all Black firm. But I was just like determined. When she sold me my home, I was just like, when I get into real estate, I'm going to work for her. Like, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth after she sold me my home. I was just like, I'm coming to work for you one day. I don't know when that one day is going to be, but I'm going to come work for you. And just really, and this is going to kind of transform into another conversation, but I was that person, she that's how she spoke with me. It was just like, you can do this. And so when I speak to my clients, I tell them the same, this is for you. You can do this, And I think that, I mean, again, the fear factor is there, am I going to be good at it? A lot of times we're afraid of success. Am I going to be good at it? Am I ready for it? Am I, and even though things are happening and doors are opening, you're still like, I'm not ready for this, I'm not good enough for this. I don't deserve this, and all of those things that go through the human mind, right?
Sure.
But, it's just really about pressing forward, moving forward, and continuing to do what you're called to do, But one of the other things I was going to say about, Pat, is talking about, women in business, and I don't really consider myself to be in business, but
Yeah, you are.
But okay. I was watching this Red Table Talk, and it was so good. And they were talking about Black women in business and how we don't support one another, right? It was a huge conversation, but it was so good. And it was just like, right, like, we expect so much from everyone outside of our circle, from the rest of the world, but we don't give that to one another, And I just think one of my motivations is to kind of, it's not up to me to dispel every, cultural nuance, right? Or, or be the face of the culture. That's not my job. But, it is a desire of mine to put Black business in a different light,
Sure.
Because some people look at us, and even within our own culture, we'll say, mostly within our own culture, we'll say, oh, I'm not shopping Black business. They don't do this. They're not on time. They're not, da, 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 da. And I have one of my clients said, yeah, the appointment is at, I think it was at 8, or I think it was at 8 or 9 in the morning or something like that. And she goes, yeah, well, Cheronda will be there. It was at 8. She was like, Cheronda will be there at 7:45, And I was just like, I heard her, and I was just like, good, I'm glad that that's the reputation that I have, you know what I'm saying? So that's another big part of it as well, just to kind of, put a different view out there of what Black business is like, and that the fact that we can do business and do it well,
That's right. You see a lot of women in corporate America in leadership roles, right? And it doesn't matter, over the past just couple of months, I've heard from Black men, white women, and everything sort of in between, just in general conversation, not a topic that we were discussing, but I had a Black manager, I had a Black supervisor, I had a Black mentor. Excuse me, I had a Black woman mentor, a Black woman manager or supervisor specifically. And one of my conversations was, Black women make the best mentors. Nobody says it. This is coming from a black male. Nobody says it, but they make the best mentors, right? And I in my role at Capnick, I actually have a Black female mentor who I really do respect and appreciate. My point is, there's like a magic that y'all got. And I think that whether it's in a corporate setting, whether it's, doing business for yourself, people can feel that. And it's
Mhm.
and it's something that it's like a secret sauce almost. And it's hard to articulate, but definitely
Yeah.
there. And what and your reputation and the way you're going to start setting expectations for you, and then eventually people that work with you, that'll be a bar that the folks behind you will have to clear, right, and reset. And it'll be maybe a higher bar than some other folks, but it's important that you don't try to represent everybody, but you just try to represent yourself,
Right. Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah, yeah, and sort of just be that representation for 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 everyone. And speaking of like the corporate setting, uh, I I'm really curious to know your experiences as far as things that you dealt with, maybe struggles that you've had being a Black woman in those corporate settings, because I mean that's really where you come from, is
Hmm.
corporate America, right? So as much as we do have those superiors that we report to that are Black females, uh, there's also still a very very much uh, glass ceiling in a lot of instances. It ain't
Yeah.
all sweet. It's not all candies and rainbows and all that stuff. There's still some real, you know, uh, bias there, and
Mhm.
you know, glass ceilings and underrepresentation. Like, talk to me about your experiences and all that over the years.
Well, specifically the organization that you and I met at, there was only one African American woman in leadership there,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. So, I mean, that is very visible, sets a tone, for the Black people within that particular organization, specifically at that location. And, but I, it was never really my desire to go into leadership there. But again, the tone was kind of set that it is just not getting ready to happen, because it was only one. And that's kind of like the unwritten rule in business, right? Where there's only room for one. There can only be one. We already have a Black female. That's enough.
Yeah.
There's not room for more than one of us. Um, and sometimes, this was definitely not the situation, but I can definitely see how in some places it could create, a lot of competition amongst, African American women. Hence the reason why, we have such a hard time supporting, each other, because the world has said there's only room for one of you at the table. um you know and that's just what it is. Right now, the world that we live in, everyone is jumping on the diversity, inclusion, and equality, you
Yeah.
know the DEI bandwagon. Some organizations, DEIA with access. And I think that's is honorable, is good, but it's really unfortunate that it has to be implemented, that it's not something that comes as a natural part of the environment to begin with.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sad that there has to be, formal trainings. There has to be, formal procedures and policies in place to make sure that things are implemented, and diversity is top of mind. That just is really unfortunate. But it was never my desire, again, from where we came from, to be in a position of leadership. But I still assumed the position of leadership. As I moved to different departments, um, they would never allow me the opportunity, to become a team leader or, a manager within certain organizations. But my sales were the best in the team. So, it was Cheronda, what do you think about this? And, can you talk to us about that? And, you hate to say, well, pay me,
Right. Right.
pay me. But there's a balance, there is a balance, it's like, I'll give you, what I did when I was in your position, but I can't give you everything because I've worked for this, I work hard for this,
Right.
so, you just kind of have to figure out, the balance between it. But, same situation today, there isn't just not a lot of, Black representation in my circles, unfortunately. This isn't, but
Let me say this, because I hear what you're saying, that, the DEI, DEIA. I think that we all have biases and just sort of blind spots that we don't, I guess they call them unconscious, right? Unconscious bias.
right.
I think it's important that you kind of go through these checks and balances so that you can make sure that you don't have any blind spots. And then sometimes there needs to be a direct, you need to sort of go above and beyond at times to seek out diverse talent, because it may not be at the top of your mind. So whether that's race or ethnicity, whether it's age, religion, this world, this world that we're in now, in the information age, is shrinking. And culturally, we know about companies that, the blunders that they make. It's apparent that they don't have any certain representation.
Right.
You talked about where we worked, and it's funny because I was in a similar role, right? It's like, hey, can you sit, can this new person sit with you and, observe you, or can you work with them, right? And I mean, they even at one point, because of the nonprofit stuff that I was doing and the events and stuff, they were like, can you help, recruit folks for this sort of committee, like this fun committee or whatever, right? It's like, sure, no problem. But when there was opportunities to advance, it was like,
Right.
It's like, we want you in the positions that we want you in. It's almost like, we love what you bring to the table, but we don't want to give you proper equity. Right. And so many times there's, frustration with that. For sure. Many times there's certain assimilation that has to take place, that when people kind of lose themselves. Which, we may not get into that today, but and then many times people go out and they figure out things on their own.
Right.
Right. So,
right. And that's ultimately what happened. It was just like, well, you have an opportunity to make some things right. And I'm an A-type personality person. I'm very vocal, and not in a rude way, just, I'll play the game for a moment, but then it comes a point where it's just like, okay, clearly I have set myself apart from the rest of the group. What you have in me, I think even I heard up until about a year ago that they were still using a video that I had recorded in training.
Oh, wow.
In training and formal trainings. Someone said I should have sued for intellectual property, but it's like, You might be right.
Yeah.
But it just came a point where it was just like, okay, you know what you have here. So, where do you go? This is your opportunity to make this right. This is what I'm asking for. And the answer was, well, I can't, well, after like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I can't, give you what you're asking for, but I can do this, which would have caused me to work more. That's just like, no. And not that I'm afraid of the work, but you have people that are coming in here with what I'm asking you for, and they haven't proven themselves, but
And you're a known commodity at this
I'm
point.
a not known commodity
Yeah.
at this point, with the company for a few years at this point. And out the gate had just really separated myself from the rest of the group. You know what I mean? And not to, pat myself on the back or gas up myself or
No, it's
anything
okay.
like that. The numbers were what they were. You know what I mean? And it was very, like at one point, I think, that's not I think, someone showed me the numbers that I have for one particular month. I could have been a team all by myself, right? And it would have come in number 3 in our region by myself.
Hello.
So, and again, not to, brag or anything, it's not about that, but you didn't want to, give me what I was asking for to make it right.
Sure.
And I just said, okay, and I remember my manager going, please don't tell me you're leaving. And I was just like, well, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah.
So about 2 months later, I did leave.
Yeah.
I did. And it was the best decision I ever made. So,
Yeah. And well, what I do believe in is that you're going to be, and you've proven to be successful pretty much wherever you've gone. So it's just a matter of where you're going to be and who going to reap the benefits of it. So that is for sure. Do you want to spend a little time talking about your role with the chamber, and then we can get into kind of some music?
Okay. So I am a full-time business development manager for the Detroit Regional Chamber. I operate a member benefit program. That is the best way, the simplest way I can describe what I do, because everybody's like, what does that mean? Well, the chamber is a membership-based organization, and I run a benefit for their membership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I had posted I like my music. Okay. I mean, part of even Baxter's Buzz, the podcast version of this, not the blogs necessarily, has been, me talking about songs of the day, right? I just, that's what I like.
Okay.
But I don't know, a couple of months ago, let's just say, I had posted something on Facebook about the best song or your favorite song on Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life.
Oh, yeah, I recall.
And so there's no right or wrong answer now, okay?
Okay.
Because it's your favorite.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Although I do recall you commenting on my post saying that there was only one answer. There isn't. There isn't.
Okay.
But today, when anyone ever asks me a question about music or my favorite or this, I'm like, I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yeah,
right?
sure. For
so
sure.
Today, what's your favorite song on the Songs in the Key of Life project that was released in 1976, but it's like ageless.
Like 1.
It's like ageless though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like 1. So I definitely have the right, the reserve the right to change my opinion because the album is so timeless, it's so classic. And it really does depend on the mood that you're in. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? It really truly does. I'll say all of that and say along with that I went to his concert when he was here. I think it was maybe the first night that he was here. He only did like, I want to say there were 3 altogether. But I think we were the first night that he was there. I don't recall. But the tour was Songs in the Key of Life. He did the album from top to bottom in order.
Wow.
And it was flawless. It was like somebody had dropped the needle and pressed play. Like seriously, it was like, he is just, he's such a treasure. Like he's a national treasure. Like seriously. Like I heard somebody say on social media, we need to put bubble wrap around him or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, so with that, I have to say that Sir Duke is my favorite only because when I put the album on, it's the first song that I go to. It's the first song that I go to. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. See, if I turn an album on and the first song is Love's in Need of Today, I can't turn that on. Like if it starts, I'm not pressing shuffle. I'm not skipping. Like I don't know if that's my favorite, but it's hard for me to start this album and bounce around. If I hit shuffle at the beginning and I don't know I can let it play.
Yeah.
But if I hear the beginning of Love's in Need of Today, I'm like, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah. What did I say on Facebook? Did I say as? What did I say? Do you recall?
I don't think it was Sir Duke.
Yeah.
I think it was as.
I think it was yeah. Okay.
I would say today, for me, I think that it would probably be, I don't know, man. I love. See, now I'm stuck on Love's in Need of Love Today because with this political climate,
right. Again, how you're feeling.
Right. It's like,
yeah.
Like love is always in need of love, and it's like if we start there, we'd be much better off, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that's gonna be my story today, and I'm sticking with that. So today, I'm pretty sure that's not what I said on my own post, But like I said, we reserve the right to change our minds.
There you go.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. I'm glad I made the time to do it. It's been a real struggle for me keeping my calendar together.
Yeah.
It's been tough. And I'm fine. I'm trying to find a balance, I'm trying to find a balance because I do have a full-time job that pays the mortgage. So that's first and foremost, but at the same time, you're dealing with people's greatest investment. So, that, sometimes you just have to prioritize. It's like, okay, give me to, 4:30 and we can talk about this. I promise you the house is not going to get up and walk away. So,
I talked about boundaries today in a post. And why it's so important. You got to make sure that you have time to take care of your business.
For sure.
And sometimes it's tough to say no, but it's so necessary. it'll bring you some
And
peace.
take care of yourself as
Exactly.
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Cheronda. I appreciate your time, and let's do it again. Let's figure out another time and do it again, okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again for everyone checking us out. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please, wherever you're listening to it, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And we'll see you again soon. Peace.